106.5 FM and online. It's the After 5 Guest with Wynn Thomas.
And time now for my After 5 guest, and that is James Warren of the Korgis. James, thanks for your company this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Cartoon World is the new album. How long did it take in the making? How long did it take to make?
Well, we started writing the songs at the beginning of all the lockdowns, and the lockdown gave us the opportunity, really, to really work at it and really spend as much time as we wanted to spend on it. Initially, of course, we couldn't get together in person, so I was writing bits of songs at my house and then sending them across to Al Steele, who lives in Caerphilly. I live in Bath, by the way. Al Steele lives in Caerphilly, so I would send stuff to him by computer, and he would add things to my ideas and then send them back. And so we did that for quite some time during the lockdown, until eventually we had a whole album's worth of new songs. And then as soon as lockdown eased and we could actually get together in person, I went down to Al's studio, which is just outside Caerphilly, and we started recording them. So it was a bit of a process, several months, but it was very good. It was a good thing to do during those terrible lockdown times.
Yeah. How would you describe the album? How would you describe the songs?
Well, it's pop, really. I suppose if you think of bands, I don't know. People have said it reminds them of bands like 10cc. And there's Beatles kind of influences as well. It's and we've been very careful with the lyrics as well. A lot of thought went into the words, and so it's a collection of sort of modern sort of pop, I suppose you might call it.
So it's the first proper studio album since 1992. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, you've never really been away, but people are saying, oh, why are you coming back now? You're not really coming back because you've never gone away, have you? You've always been around.
I suppose so, yeah. What happens is that we all sort of get involved in different projects and go off and do things with other people, and then every so often come back together and, and write songs together again. But for some reason, we just didn't get round to recording a Korgis album. We all of us were sort of involved in other albums, but we just didn't sort of get together and make a Korgis album as such. For all that time, as you say, 1992, we did an album called This World's for Everyone, and it was literally the last Korgis album we did. And so this is the first one since then. That's 30 or 40 years. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it, really, but there we are. Yeah,
I would describe it as a collector's dream. How do you feel about that? That's good, isn't it?
I hope so. I hope it's not a collector's nightmare. Yeah, let's hope so.
So the new single is bringing back the spirit of love, described as Beatles-inspired, as you were just saying about Beatles. Would you say that?
Yeah. I think that's probably a fair sort of description, really. Yes. And I think the first verse starts with words about you say you want a revolution, and then we say revolution of the heart sort of thing. So which echoes the Beatles did a song called Revolution in 1968. Yeah, so that was a kind of jumping off point, if you like. But then we go into our own sort of more modern sort of observations about life since lockdown, and what it's meant for people, and so that's what it is. And really it's a sort of excuse me, the song Bring Back the Spirit of Love is like a plea for us to sort of be more human centered, after the terrible pandemic experience and all the sort of political sort of madness that we've had in recent years, all the sort of corruption. It's a plea for let's get back to the sort of basic values of being kind to each other and sort of thinking about each other. So bringing back the spirit of love, yeah.
A bit like what John Lennon would say, wouldn't he? If he's still alive, probably that sort of thing as well, wouldn't he?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, why not, yeah.
You made no secret John Lennon's an inspiration to you, isn't he? I mean, the Beatles were incredible, so they were an inspiration to many people, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I grew. I mean, the Beatles is what made me be a musician, really, to be honest.
Oh, right, okay,
in my teens, when they were in their heyday. And if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have ever thought of learning to play guitar and being in bands or anything. Well, I didn't, you know. I wanted to be a French teacher, in fact. That was my big plan in life. But then I started playing guitar, and I thought, wow, you know, I enjoy doing this, you know, and the Beatles were doing all their, you know, best work, Sgt. Pepper, and I thought, wow, this is definitely what I want to do. So yeah, I mean, they were for me a seminal influence in.
And the words then came easy to you, writing the words as well. Is that easy for you?
Yes, yeah. I mean, but for this album, I must say, my friend Al Steele, who I've already mentioned, in Philly. I mean, he did most of the lyric writing for this album, I have to say, and it, yeah, I think he's done a great job. I mean, in previous years, you know, in previous albums, I've done a lot of the words, but I left it to him this time round. I was a bit more lazy. I did musical sort of contributions and so on, but I left the final sort of lyric writing to Al for the most part, and he's done a great job.
So you and Al are in the band. Who else is in the band now then? Who's in the Korgis now?
Well, no one that anyone would know about. So, I mean, the Korgis started in about 1978, I think it was.
Wow, right, okay, yeah.
A duo, myself and a guy called Andy Davis. We'd both been in a weird band called Stackridge before that, which is a kind of eccentric sort of rock band, a progressive rock band. And so after that finished, we decided to try something different. We thought we'd try and, you know, start a more pop sort of oriented band, a more radio friendly sort of band. And so that was the idea behind the Korgis. And we had a couple of big hits which people might remember, If I Had You and Everybody's Got to Learn Sometime. And so we did that for a while, but then Andy went off and did different things. I carried on with different people. And so today, one of the people that's still with me is someone that I started sort of performing with about 30 years ago, a chap called John Baker, who lives near Bath, where I live as well. And we met Al Steele in about 1998 or thereabouts. So John, Al and myself are at the core of the band, if you like. You know, we've been together since those days. And we've got some new people now as well. Paul Smith, a drummer from Swansea.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay,
good.
Backing singers who live near Caerphilly, Ava, Emmy, and Jay. Yes, and also we have a keyboard player, Nigel Hart, who lives just outside Caerphilly as well. So it's this kind of Welsh sort of based band, really.
That's brilliant, yes, brilliant. The Welsh influences in that band, absolutely brilliant, yeah, great stuff. So lots of personnel changes over the years. But you worked with Trevor Horn in the early 80s. What was that like, working with that guy?
That was an experience. An incredible experience, yeah, because, I mean, I loved what he was doing at that time. I thought it was really exciting stuff, his productions. And so I did a one-off single with him, but it's one of the sort of things which I'm not very happy about, really. Just from my own contribution, I had this song which he thought had something, you know, and so we did went in the studio and he tried to produce it, but basically I was a bit kind of, in those days, a bit sort of self-conscious, a bit out of my comfort zone, I suppose, because all the Korgis stuff that we recorded before then was very much kind of home-produced, and we were in total control of what we were doing in our own studio, you know. And then working with Trevor was up in London, and, you know, it was very much all his team were involved. And I just didn't feel comfortable, I don't think. And so I was always disappointed by how it turned out. I mean, Trevor tried his best to sort of make it a really good job, and you know, he's done a good job. But I never liked the way that I ended up singing it or other things that I did. I think I sort of I muddied it a bit. If I had left it to Trevor to sort of really do, his complete sort of production job, it probably would have been great. But I sort of, put a bit of spanners in the works, I think, really, trying to get my own sort of ideas across too much. And so it was an experiment which didn't quite come off for me. And I don't think it's ever mentioned in a list of Trevor Horn productions now. It was one of the very few sort of unsuccessful things that he did. But it was an incredible experience.
On Cartoon World, there is a track called This Is Life, which features Welsh phantom Peter Carey.
Yeah.
Do you know that came along? How did you get Carey? Because obviously I met him and interviewed him a couple of times.
And Al Steele, he knows Peter, because Al has his own studio, you've seen, in Caerphilly. And I think a couple of years ago, Peter Carey came and did a couple of things there. And so I got to know him. And when we had this song, This Is the Life, and we thought it needed, that sort of middle section where we had a really sort of powerful theatrical voice, saying various things. And Al said, I know just the man, I'll contact Peter. And he did, and he was up for it. And he's done a great job. Yeah,
it's great. I do like that track as well. But James, thanks so much for being my After Five guest today. It's absolutely brilliant to talk to you. Thanks so much for sparing me the time.
Welcome, anytime.
And we're going to finish off the interview with bringing back the spirit of love. Once again, thanks so much indeed for being my guest today.
Thanks.
Peace. Not the peace of the grave or the security of the slave. Peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time. Peace in all time.
We're gonna start a revolution, one that grows inside our hearts. Let's work for a new solution, 'cause something's about to change. Send somebody away. We don't wanna fight for lower tax. We just wanna win the good stuff back. And we are bringing back the spirit of love to the world. All over the world, people are bringing back the spirit of love to the world. And we're giving it back to you. Are you gonna join the party? But you gotta lay down your hate. I think you'll find now we started. You'll never ever get enough when you build your house on love. We don't need to see it to see what's wrong. We just need a revolution song. One song that's bringing back the spirit of love to the world. All over the world, people are bringing back the spirit of love to the world. And we're giving it back to you. Are you in? Are you out? Time to stand up, wake up the world and shout.
Peace in our time.
Are you free? Are you a slave? A slave to that big money machine we made.
Peace in all time.
Are you in? Are you in? Are you out? Are you out? It's time to stand up, wake up the world and shout.
Peace in our time.
Are you free? Are you free? Are you a slave? A slave to that big money machine